I did that video on, what's-her-face, on Xena Shrek. I figured I'd do a video on Michael Aquino, and I'll probably do one on Xena's husband, Nicholas Shrek, or ex-husband, Nicholas Shrek. Although, quite honestly, I don't actually know very much about Nicholas Shrek, except for his work with Charles Manson and trying to get Charles Manson out of prison because Charles Manson was innocent. Or at least I think he was, as does Nicholas Shrek. But Aquino, this is about Michael Aquino, who was born in 1946. He did pass away. I'm amazed they don't have his date of death. He was born October 16th, 1946, San Francisco, California, married to Lilith Sinclair, a satanic cult leader. Oh, a satanic cult leader. Ooh. Education, University of California, Santa Barbara. That's the address of that. Address for home, Career, U.S. Army officer specializing in psychological warfare. So he was a U.S. Army officer specializing in psychological warfare, which began in 1968. He became lieutenant colonel. He became a lieutenant colonel in military intelligence. He is retired. He served in Vietnam. He is an ordained satanic priest. 1971 to 1972, Temple of Set founder and leader from 1975 to 1996. He was a member of the Eagle Scouts, which is the Boy Scouts, meaning he made the rank of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts. He wrote a book called The Church of Satan. Satan contributed to periodicals including The Cloven Hoof. The Cloven Hoof is the newsletter for Satanists from the Church of Satan. Sidelights in 1969, 1 year after Michael Aquino. Both graduated from the University of California, Santa Barbara with a BA in political science and joined the U.S. Army as a psychological warfare specialist. He joined the Church of Satan, headed by Anton LaVey. Aquino then served a tour of duty in Vietnam. When he returned, the Army stationed him in Kentucky, and he became a priest within the Church of Satan, forming a grotto, a group of believers that met in his home there. Aquino soon became disenchanted with the Church of Satan, however, under LaVey's leadership. And in 1972, he, along with Lilith Sinclair, a Church of Satan leader, who eventually married Aquino, split from it. This split appears to stem in large part from the two men's conflicting ideologies. LaVey, an atheist. LaVey was not an atheist, but there's people that believe LaVey was an atheist need to read the Satanic Bible and read other writings by Anton LaVey. His concept of God is as the balance factor of nature, and there's other philosophical things that really, like, for example, like Satan is considered like the will to power, Nietzsche's will to power, or something of that nature that causes people to strive forward. There's more involved. I think LaVey referred to himself as an atheist due to a lack of understanding of various philosophies. I don't think LaVey was as bright as Aquino, but I don't think you need to be particularly... I think that's the point, too. You don't need to be particularly bright to grasp Satanism or to implement Satanism or to understand Satanism. I got away from Satanism because it became rather childish. It does, in my opinion, it needs to be an expanded philosophy. And I have to read Aquino's book where he reprinted the Satanic Bible. But, okay, so LaVey, an atheist, believed that Satan did not exist. That's not true. Satan existed as sort of the force, the internal force in humanity that causes the individual to strive. And you can find that in a lot of the philosophy of the Church of Satan, especially LaVey's writings. Aquino, on the other hand, believed in a literal Satan, and this is true. He believed in Set. And in 1975, he established a church of his own known as the Temple of Set. Set, an Egyptian god who evolved into the Judeo-Christian figure of Satan, reportedly appeared before Aquino and gave him a document called the Book of Coming Forth by Night, which is, if I remember, the actual name for the papyrus of it's the Book of the Dead. The founding I'm not sure, though, so don't hold me to that. The founding text of the temple, according to a contributor to Religious Leaders of America, Aquino defined the temple's ambition as awakening the divine power of the individual through the deliberate exercises of will and intelligence. So it's very similar to white magic, despite them using the term black magic. Referring to the process by which this happens is Zephyr or Kepfer. It's actually pronounced Kepfer, but I'm saying Zephyr, but it's Kepfer. Now, what you need to understand, this is very similar to, like, white magic, in the sense that it's how to unite yourself with that higher power, in this case, Set. Two reasons why so little is known about the group, including the size of its following, stems from its secretive atmosphere as well as its emphasis on individual over unity. While in the position of high priest of the Temple of Set, Aquino wrote and self-published The Church of Satan in 1996. Aquino stepped down from his position, leaving the group in the hands of Don Webb. Biographical and critical sources: Encyclopedia of Occultism, Parapsychology. Temple of Set official page is kepfer.org. University of Virginia Religious Movements, boom. And this is him with his wife. And this is Temple, Texas. These are just other people. So I'm going to move on now. This is Aquino's Wikidata page. So let's see here. This is Aquino and his wife. Aquino himself, which is, I think, just the one with him and his wife with the wife cropped out. Okay, so he is a male. United States of America. Given name Michael A. Aquino. He was born on date of birth October 16th, 1946. He was a military officer, a political scientist, a priest, an editor, an author. His employer was Golden Gate University, University of California, Santa Barbara, Temple of Set, Church of Satan, Lieutenant Colonel, Vietnam War was the conflict he served in. Military rank was Lieutenant Colonel. Military branch, United States Army. Meritus Service Medal. And he is different from Michael Ray Aquino, whoever that is. So we're going to move on. So this is Dr. Aquino on Oprah, and he is going to eviscerate this moron that claims to have been a member of the Church of Satan, and claims that there was an alleged murder that took place that he allegedly partook in. But you are going to see Dr. Aquino eviscerate this idiot's claim, and it is delightful. So let's watch.
Talking to Dr. Aquino and his wife, you are a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army.
Correct.
Now, and how does the Army feel about you being head of the Temple of Set?
The Army has known about my religion for the entire span of my Army career, which began in 1968. Mm-hmm. And there was a reasonable amount of curiosity, as there has been all the way along, with what exactly is this strange and unusual thing. And I've talked about it in much the same way that I've talked here today on your show about it. Mm-hmm. And other than that, the Army has paid very little attention to it, the same as it would to anybody who is, say, a follower of Hinduism or of Buddhism or any other slightly unusual religion today.
So you just go about your Army duties and it's fine and okay.
I like how these people are so surprised that the military of a country that is a secular country that promotes religious freedom somehow is allowing people freedom of religion. It boggles my mind that they don't understand that when you have freedom of religion, when you live in a secular country, you have freedom of religion for all religions. And the United States military, as an extension of the United States government, is secular. It is not a Christian organization.
I was a follower of the Satanist church in Chicago here.
This dude is a amazing piece of work. You got to check this fruitcake out.
Okay. Yeah.
I was a follower of the Satanist church in Chicago here.
This dude is a pure space cadet. I'm amazed that he actually knows what Walpurgisnacht is, although I don't think he does.
On Walpurgisnacht, I was the head acolyte for that specific ceremony. And at the end of it, we wound up murdering someone. And...
A person?
Yes, ma'am. It wasn't anybody that I knew.
What I like is anybody that, okay, Oprah Winfrey is the stupidest person that just so happened to become a journalist and become famous at a time when black females were in high demand and were able to be, that's what propelled her to her superstardom and great wealth. But, I mean, she is not a very bright person if you watch her line of questioning. She is not particularly bright. She's given a lot more credit than she deserves as far as intelligence is concerned. There are a lot more intelligent people that might not have made it that far in journalism. I can think of one, a personal friend of mine, right off the bat, that didn't make it particularly far, although I will guarantee you she is far more intelligent than Oprah. And hopefully she's watching. I tell her all the time that I'm thinking about her.
And I reported it. But once I had reported it and decided that to quit the Satanist church, I started receiving threatening phone calls. People would come up to my door who I didn't know, and all they'd do is say, go back to the church, and then they'd walk away. They'd never give me their name or address or anything. I received...
Of course, because people that are coming up to your door to threaten you just hand you their business card, right? That's like, this guy's story is so ridiculous. They wouldn't give me their name or address. They didn't give me a telegram, or a singing telegram, or blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Threatened mail. My mail was opened. My little sister was harassed coming to and from school several times.
So what happened in the ritual where someone was murdered, and how were they murdered?
They were stabbed 7 times with knives because...
They were stabbed 7 times. Remember, that's very important. The highly detailed description of these things is what's very important. Because it's almost like they have very, very distinct details of certain aspects of these crimes that allegedly happen, but yet they forget other aspects which would be important to identify people, things like that. It's very, very interesting that all these alleged satanic rituals, there's never any bodies, never any evidence, never anything that shows that something actually happened, but yet they always remember certain specific details, but never enough of the important details to catch anybody that's doing these allegedly horrible things.
In Chicago?
Yeah. It was...
What year?
About 8 years ago. So it was about 80, 81.
About 80, 81, you know, in that area. I mean, this guy, you know, like, he's supposedly off to a person, but, you know, between 80, I don't really know. You know, that's what he's saying. 80, 81, I was involved in this, but you know, I really don't know. Could be 80, maybe 81, maybe 76, maybe, it was for the bicentennial. I don't know.
And the ritual was a witch's Sabbath. And
there is no such thing as a witch's Sabbath in Satanism of this time. There might be now. I don't keep up with whatever the hell is going on with Satanism at this point. But there's no such thing as a witch's Sabbath. Now, Satanists do celebrate the turning points of the year, the Sabbath, the Sabbats, and the equinoxes. So we like the Sabbats, which are the solstices and the equinoxes. But other than that, and the cross quarters like Halloween and whatnot. But that's not even that common, really, because I mean, I've never been big on celebrating those holidays. I had friends that were Wicca, like Wiccans, and I would celebrate them with them if we were going to like a function or something. But as a Satanist, it's not mandatory that you really celebrate any holiday, because Satanism is about the individual. So if I was hanging out with like some pagan friends of mine or something, I might, very rarely, it was like once every 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I might go to a celebration of that type if they were going. Okay, so that would be something that I would do with my friends. I eventually didn't because I didn't like the liberally wishy-washy, fruity-duty nature of the people at those things, because the Wiccan community is very liberal. So, as an old-fashioned Satanist, when I was a Satanist, as a conservative, a law and order conservative type person, you don't really mesh in a patriarchal male law and order conservative is your typical Satanist. You don't mesh too well with Wiccans who tend to be, you know, polysexual, or if that's, I don't even know what that is, but people call it, like, people say that now, and like there's a lot of weird folks in Wicca that, you know, they just don't mesh with Satanism. But let's move on.
It got out of hand, and the high priest brought out these 7 daggers, and
again, 7 daggers. Now, what's funny is Anton LaVey in the Satanic Bible refers to 9 as a sacred number of Satan. Hence the order of 9 angles and things of that nature. And it has to do with, I'm not great with math, but 9 is a number that you can do a whole bunch of fancy stuff to, and it comes back on itself.
They killed him in the form of a cross with the 7 daggers.
Was this person impaled against his or her will?
Yeah.
Or did they wish to be sacrificed?
No, this was against his will.
Was this person impaled against his will?
But
So how did you know you weren't going to be pulled in and impaled?
that's why that's one of the reasons why I got
I
out.
would think the reason he knew that is because he stated that he was one of the people that did it. That would be what I would think. I mean, he said he's one of the people that did this. That would be how I would think he would know that, assuming he's not talking out his ass, which, as you'll see, Dr. Aquino proves he's talking out his ass.
The church, and the other reason why I got out of the church was
The audience is actually laughing at how ridiculous this person is.
mentally I had a nervous breakdown after that, and
He conveniently had a nervous breakdown that keeps him from remembering anything.
I mentally could not handle it.
How do you explain that?
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan? My first...
Now, this is a very important question, because this form of Satanism is very well known. As I said, you could purchase the Satanic Bible, you could purchase the Satanic Rituals, you could purchase the Satanic Witch, and you could learn all about the Church of Satan and that particular branch of Satanism, and you would quickly find out that this guy is making up horseshit.
Question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan?
Yes, sir.
And who was the grotto?
Now, this is important. A grotto is a congregation of Satanists. So this is an important question.
Leader. The Church of Satan?
Yes, sir.
And who was the grotto leader?
have a name for him?
I don't remember his name.
You don't remember the name of a person who involved you in murder?
Keep that in mind.
Name.
You don't remember the name of a person who involved you in murder?
Exactly.
Name.
You don't remember the name of a person who involved you in murder?
Not anymore, no.
Were you
Like I
prosecuted?
said, I had a nervous breakdown, and I have partial amnesia.
Conveniently, he had a nervous breakdown that magically gave him partial amnesia.
Had a nervous breakdown, and I have partial amnesia. Had a nervous breakdown, and I have partial amnesia. Specifically about that night.
You remember the event itself?
He specifically has partial amnesia about that night, but specifically remembers extremely detailed aspects of that night.
That night itself is that I walked in, I got my acolyte robes on, and the next thing I remember seeing was this guy laying on the table with 7 daggers sticking out of his chest.
Did you participate in the...
So he originally said that he was involved in this. Now he's saying he doesn't know if he was involved in it because Aquino's calling him out on his horse shit.
Thing of the day?
I don't remember.
You've made several statements that don't fit with the Church of Satan. For example,
I don't remember.
This is great.
you've made several statements that don't fit with the Church of Satan.
I don't remember.
You've made several statements that don't fit with the Church of Satan. For example, there is only one high priest, there is not a local. For example, there is only one high priest. For example, there is only one high priest. For example, there is only one high priest, there is not a local one. We do not have any rituals.
Only one high priest, is that you?
That for the Church of Satan was Anton LaVey.
Is that you?
That for the Church of Satan was Anton LaVey.
Is that you?
That for the Church of Satan was Anton LaVey. Now, it has no rituals called a witch's Sabbath per se. Satan was Anton LaVey. Now, it has no rituals called a witch's Sabbath per se. Satan was Anton LaVey. Now, it has no rituals called a witch's Sabbath per se. It certainly does not have any ritual murder activities. And it does not have any ritual murder activities. It does not have any ritual murder activities. It does not have any ritual murder activities. And it has no title called acolyte at all. And it has no title called acolyte at all. And it has no title called acolyte at all. A person who is a first-degree member in the Church of Satan is referred to as a Satanist. A person who is a first-degree member in the Church of Satan is referred to as a Satanist. A person who is a first-degree member in the Church of Satan is referred to as a Satanist. A person who is a first-degree member in the Church of Satan is referred to as a Satanist. And there are no titles such as that at all. Furthermore, I found
So you telling him he's lying?
I'm telling him he's lying.
Telling him he's lying?
I'm telling him he's lying.
Telling him he's lying?
I'm telling him he's lying.
Telling him he's lying?
I'm telling him he's lying.
Telling him he's lying?
I'm telling him he's lying. I'm saying that he has given us statements in great detail concerning events that took place, but he has not named a single name, nor is there any record, as far as I'm aware from what he said, that the police... I'm saying that he has given us statements in great detail concerning events that took place, but he has not named a single name, nor is there any record, as far as I'm aware from what he said, that the police investigated. I'm saying that he has given us statements in great detail concerning events that took place, but he has not named a single name, nor is there any record, as far as I'm aware from what he said, that the police investigated.
I do remember.
Now his amnesia is going to magically be the excuse as to why he doesn't remember certain things.
Several of the names of the people there.
Did you tell them to the police?
Yes,
See, now he remembers several of the names of the people there.
Those names to the police, but I refuse to name them on national television for two reasons. One, they might not like it and come after me.
He refuses to out these people and allow the public to know who they are, which would actually protect him.
And that scares the hell out of me.
Don't you think that they already know that you are talking about them here right now? If
They
in
may
fact
know
it took
that
place?
the hell out of me.
Don't you think that they already know that you are talking about them here right now?
The hell out of me.
Don't you think that they already know that you are talking about them here right now?
The hell out of me.
Don't you think that they already know that you are talking about them here right now? If
They
in
may
fact
know
it took
that
place?
they may know that.
Wait a minute, how could they know that? How do they know that? Because they're watching or because they just sort of feel it?
Again, that line of questioning, classic Oprah. How do they know that?
The same reason that he would...
It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question, yeah.
If he is talking about events right now on your show and he's afraid that those people may be watching it, he would in fact place himself in greater danger by not identifying them right now than he would by allowing them to retain their anonymity and then perhaps to continue persecuting or threatening him. If he is talking about events right now on your show and he's afraid that those people may be watching it, he would in fact place himself in greater danger by not identifying them right now than he would by allowing them to retain their anonymity and then perhaps to continue persecuting or threatening him. If he is talking about events right now on your show and he's afraid that those people may be watching it, he would in fact place himself in greater danger by not identifying them right now than he would by allowing them to retain their anonymity and then perhaps to continue persecuting or threatening him.
Can I ask you something? What happened to this victim, and were you ever prosecuted by the police, and did they investigate?
No, I wasn't prosecuted because
He wasn't prosecuted because he's a good boy.
I was the one that went to the police. I was the only one that went to the police. The police went to...
Apparently, he doesn't understand how criminal investigations and prosecutions work. I wasn't prosecuted because I was a good boy and I talked to the police.
The cemetery where we had that ritual, and they found the altar, and
Now, the thing is, this is before the internet. Now you can just look stuff up on the internet. Back then, people would be like, oh my God, he said that. It must be true. Well, the thing is, no, they didn't. As Dr. Aquino pointed out, there's been nothing that he's aware of, and part of his job at that time was disproving the Satanic Panic. There was nothing that he was aware of any police in Chicago doing any investigations into anything like this, and he would have been aware of it. Okay, if anybody would have been aware of it, it would be Dr. Aquino or Zena.
a lot of the blood and some of the trappings, but they never...
Ooh, the trappings. Ooh, spooky words. Spooky words.
found the body, or...
Never found the body. Ooh, spooky words. Trappings.
anybody else in the coven.
What did you do with the body?
The coven. Now, what's funny is Dr. Aquino actually just told him, indirectly, that a congregation of Satanists is known as a grotto, not a coven.
I left. I got out of there. When I realized that this guy on the altar was dead, I just...
You murdered a
down
person and then you
started
turned and
running.
walked away? And the police said, well, as long as you talk to us about it, it's okay, but we won't...
I don't know if I was involved in the actual ritual itself.
You told us that you
He said he was involved in the ritual, but now he just doesn't
killed the
know.
person yourself.
No, he didn't.
No,
he didn't. No, he didn't.
What I said was that the murder happened at it, and I was there. I don't know.
He doesn't remember if he actually stabbed them or not.
He conveniently doesn't remember these things.
You wanted to say what? Yes.
This is a brief part of an interview that Oliver Stone's kid did with, now kid is an adult, I forget what his name is, something Stone. But he's going to do this is a quick part of an interview between him and Michael Aquino about the origins of the Temple of Set.
Of Satan under LaVey initially, and just to understand what is the mindset, what is the philosophy of a Setian, what is that worldview like?
The Temple of Set was originally thought to take the context of what our original satanic experience had been out of the Judeo-Christian mythology system. And harking back to the original Church of Satan days, we were looking really to find the nature of what is generally called the human soul. In other words, what it is within us that animates us, that gives us freedom.
Now this is what LaVey refers to as Satan. Okay? This is Satan, according to the philosophy. If you can read LaVey's works, it's never so clearly defined, but if you read his works, this is what LaVey refers to as Satan. This is that indwelling force which urges man forward. It's similar to the Nietzschean will to power.
Of decision, of conceptualization, the intellectual life force. The Church of Satan, of course, had a certain social criticism aspect to it, and it also liked to hold Judeo-Christianity's feet to the fire. After 10 years, both of those became sort of played out, and we were looking.
Exactly. It becomes childish after a while.
as Obi-Wan Kenobi suggested.
Oh God, he has to make a Star Wars reference, really? Dude, you had me until the Star Wars reference. Why, Dr. Aquino?
To Luke Skywalker in the first Star Wars movie to take a first step into a larger universe. So the Temple of Set exists to explore the self, the personality, and we do this through the media of ancient Egyptian religion, which we found to be the most sophisticated. So what you see in the Temple of Set is not anything with an agenda towards good or evil per se, but rather towards understanding consciousness, and once you understand consciousness, to maximize your personal use of it.
Essentially, what the Temple of Set teaches you is how to unbrainwash yourself from how society has brainwashed you, essentially. And people might not even understand they're brainwashed until they can step out of the brainwash, if you get what I'm saying.
In such a way that you are not the slave to conventions or to propaganda of any sort, for that matter, so that you are in effect a God yourself, responsible for your own decisions concerning matters of good or evil or morality.
So, in the context of the prominence of mind, basically, there's the philosophy that all the universe is mental, right? It is a mental reality that we live in.
This is the concept of mentalism, which is important in New England transcendentalism and certain philosophies that have sprang from that, particularly the early self-help gurus like Wallace Wattles. But beyond that, and this is also like the power of positive thinking, Norman Vincent Peale's power of positive thinking, but as Aquino will explain, no, there is the objective universe and the subjective universe. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind, because you have to understand reality on reality's terms. I've always thought that it's best to make sure that your subjective understanding of the universe is as in sync with the objective reality of the universe as you can feasibly do with your ape brain, if you know what I mean.
It's mind that really dictates the reality we create. Would you say that, for example, during rituals that are conducted, that there are actually any entities, spirits, daemons?
He's trying to lead him. I like how he says demon. Daemons, spooky language.
They're called, that are actually invoked, or are they simply manifestations of one's own mind?
Well, as we understand the universes, there are actually two of them, what we call the objective universe, which would be the physical universe of matter, mass, and energy that we normally think of as our external natural environment. And then there is also each individual's subjective universe, which is the perception, the interpretation, and the expressions and impressions that you yourself both project into the objective universe and take in from it. So we actually operate in both of these contexts. What we call lesser black magic would consist of operations within ceremonial magic, operations within the objective universe using little known or little understood.
And these are the laws of magic. I find I like to use the concepts of mentalism, the power of positive thinking and things of that nature. I think it's more direct, as I also use the 8 laws of health as a more direct means of bringing myself in sync with God. And I think that I like to go about things in a more direct manner.
Laws to influence events and behavior and perceptions. And what we call greater black magic is probably more what you're thinking of in terms of ritual or ceremonial magic, which has to do with looking into...
I personally almost never perform ritual magic. At most, I might, I do meditate. That would be, but that's not, but yeah, I don't really perform ritual magic as of right now. I have in the past. I used to be a very dedicated ritual magician of the Thelemic concepts of ritual magic, and also satanic ritual magic, but in Satanism, when you're a Satanist, ritual magic is not necessary. Now I do no rituals because I find, as I said, the 8 laws of health, meditation, exercise, these things, I find these to be far more direct paths to the same thing.
Yourself to explore and refine your own concept of yourself and your soul. Now, the question of, are there demons or are there entities sort of like you'd see in a horror movie? Well, no, not in the way that most people would think, but we view the consciousness as a particularization of a universal principle, which is what we refer to as Set, which is the source of all individual consciousnesses, a little bit like in the Platonic concept of forms or first principles. So what you're doing really in a ritual is activating your personal perceptions and your interpretations of these things to refine that image, to make it into something useful for you yourself.
But again, in your understanding, that
He's still trying to lead him to talk about demons, or I'm sorry, demons.
you would say that there are no external entities that are conjured in these rituals that are external to you.
Well, that's true in the case of a greater black magical ritual when it is essentially between you and the source of your consciousness being set. If it is an operation of lesser black magic out in the
Now this is important, the Neteru, or the Egyptian gods. The Neteru are the Egyptian gods. They're nature spirits. So you have to remember that when you're working with, say, the Egyptian pantheon.
Universe. Then
They're not gods per se. They're nature. They're aspects of nature, and you have to understand that. The Neteru, that is, the ancient Egyptian gods.
Understand and interact with what we refer to as the Neteru, the precise name in hieroglyphic for the Egyptian gods, which are the principles that govern the objective universe. They would be collectively referred to as natural law.
So what you have to understand is, as I've said before, God is nature, nature is God, the laws of nature are the laws of God. Now magic, the laws of magic, and there are laws to magic, are lesser understood laws of nature. Doesn't mean that they don't exist, it means that they're not understood through scientific means. And this is why you do need things like the humanities and things of that nature. But I'll allow Dr. Aquino to finish here.
Is natural law. So when we are attempting operations in the objective universe, then yes, you might say that we are invoking, if you'd like to use that term, various